Do you have other snail best friends? That'd be, do you have other snail best friends you haven't that would be so sad. I'd be so sad if you had other snail best friends that you did not introduce me to. Rude. You can't talk. Okay. What up, everybody? It is Converse Laces, and I am here this week for chapter 1006 of One Piece. Gonna do a bit of a reaction and review, kind of a mix, probably more on the review side. Either way, I have three things that I'm talking about today. First is Larry. You just saw me having a little conversation with him there. I'm going to explain who Larry is. Second, I'm going to go through the chapter. I would say it's kind of split into 5 different scenes, just areas that Oda goes to this week. So we're going to talk about those 5 areas. And then number 3, I'm going to talk about Wano in general and how I think that's going a little bit with the pacing and why I actually agree with Mr. Morge. He has an awesome channel. He is someone who says that, you know, the raid is going to fail, and I agree with him, and I'm going to explain why. So that's what you have to look forward to. So, first things first, this is Larry. He's my Den Mushi that I made up. I'm also on TikTok. I am trying to do an OC there. Her name is Spark Spiegel, and she's a journalist. Okay, I'm trying to be a journalist in real life, so that's, you know, super original, right? So she's a journalist, and so for a journalist, the most important thing that I could think of to have in the One Piece universe would be a Den Mushi, one of those guys that could do video, so that way she just has to click record and, you know, she'd have all the information. So I have elected Larry to be her Den Mushi. He's a very advanced version of a Den Mushi. He can get video and audio all at the same time. He's special like that. So yeah, Spark and Larry are like best buds, and I've decided to kind of have Larry here in all of my videos because honestly, I just put 2 bobby pins and some earphone jack things on this, and I became emotionally attached, okay? So with that said, Larry, I did not pick the name Larry because Tekking has Barry. That did not happen. Larry is its own organic name that I came up with, and it wasn't until I started realizing I was like, I'm gonna have Larry in my videos, and I was like, curse you, Tekking, because he's got Barry, but Larry is not Barry, alright? We're just starting that out from the get-go. Larry is his own unique person. Barry's a brick. I don't know where Barry came from or why he's alive or why Tekking docked. I talked to Larry because he is the Den Mushi. He's my friend. Okay? Snail, he has feelings and he knows what's going on. So, that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about this week's chapter. Oh my goodness. I loved being on the rooftop. I think that's what a lot of people say, but okay, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm one of those people that I just read stuff and I've like really enjoyed it. I'm like, this is great. And people are like, it's so amazing that we were on the rooftop for that long. And I'm like, yes. So I enjoyed the rooftop chapters, but I also really like these chapters where we are skipping around to like everywhere. Like we're finally picking up all these pieces because Wano has so many pieces. Everyone's split, everyone's kind of going their different ways. We've got, I don't know how many different fights that we're gonna have in this arc as a total. Like there's so much going on. We don't even know who those final fights are yet, which is something to say that we are nowhere near the end of the craziness for Wano. But so let's get into this week's 5 areas that we start. First off, I love it when he does color pages. They're so cool. I love seeing all of Kaido's like main people. Like, that's just good. I feel like I haven't had time to form an emotional connection with them. Except for Queen. I just think Queen's annoying. So that's all that. But we're all, I feel like the more we go, like we're starting to get like a little bit more of like their personalities and like who they are and like, ooh, I like that, or like, that's just, I don't get it. So I'm excited. I think they definitely deserve to have their own color panel here. So I really love that. But on to the first kind of where we're at. We start with Yamato and Momonosuke and what's her name? Shinobu. Shinobu? Yes. I don't know Japanese. I'm sorry in advance. I'm going to try my best. It is what it is. So we start with them and they're fighting the little, I don't even know her name, the little eye gal who's got like all the surveillance system sees them, and so she's looking at them and kind of on the watch, but wait, does she have a tail? Anyways, things you see as you just continue, you have to reread these chapters so many times. We get Momonosuke seeing where he's chilling with Yamato and just that child concerns me on so many levels. We're not gonna go there. But other than that, basically Yamato and Shinobi are taking the hard way up to wherever they're trying to go. So we're with them, and that's the three that we start with, and they're, you know, attacking and fighting their way up the stairwell, like the most obvious place that you could go. But then we skip over to Sanji, who is like me, literally every day. He's at a dilemma of like where to go, what to do. So this is cool because it kind of leaves it, he doesn't confirm which way he decides to go. So he'll be a little mystery to see in the future which way, where he's going to show up. And I think this will definitely be something that determines his fight and who he's going to be fighting now that he's finally free from Black Maria. So yeah, we'll see where Sanji goes. I just relate to Sanji in this moment because he's like doing like the head thing. He's like, where, this, because like that's me just like every day with homework. I'm like, what should I do next? Should I do this or this? I have like 10 things I can do and I don't know which one to do. So just me and Sanji relating hardcore right now. And clearly he's back. He's got his toughness. Being with Black Maria hasn't hurt him too much. No one ever gets hurt in One Piece though, so whatever. He's fine. He's ready to fight someone else, and so we'll see who he's fighting next. So basically, Sanji is trying to decide if he wants to go help Yamato and Momonosuke and Shinobu, or if he wants to go help the Akazuka Nine. So he's trying to just figure out where he's needed most. He's finally free. Love the man, but he's finally free, and so he's trying to figure out just like where he's needed most. And I think depending on that choice that he makes, which Oda kind of leaves it up to our imagination, he doesn't specify which one he actually chooses. He just says he goes this way. This way is anywhere. Depending on that, I think that'll definitely have a say on who Sanji ends up fighting, because there's someone helping the Akazuka Nine, but there's definitely Kaido's forces are going to send someone down there, and then Yamato and Shinobu and Momonosuke are definitely going to run into some tough opponents in the future. So we'll see. I think depending on where he chooses to go right now, it's definitely going to have an impact on the story, because he might make the wrong choice. Like me every day when I'm like, should I do this homework assignment or this homework assignment or TikTok? And then I always choose TikTok, and it's the wrong choice, but it's so worth it. Anyway, so we'll see how Sanji's choice right here affects the rest of the story. So after that, so those are the first two areas. Moving on to the area number 3, the zoo residents, poor Carrot and Prospero or whatever his name is, being a butt, just like the worst. Why isn't he dead yet? I hate him. Seriously. They're all at the entrance now of Onigashima, and pretty beat up, and looks like Whitebeard, Big Mom's crew is here as well. So you see Carrot there is having, you know, the mental struggle that Pedro told her to keep moving forward, and she physically can't do that right now. So we'll see where her fight continues with all of this. She's kind of been one of those characters that she's just been like tagging along for like a long time now. And like one of those people are like, is she gonna join like the crew or whatnot? So I'm glad to see that Oda's paying attention to her story, and what really is like motivating her right now is Pedro's death. And so getting to see her dealing with that and how she's handling that, I'm really excited that we got that in this chapter, as well as just the general update on all of the zoo residents and where they're doing, which is not so good. So hopefully, I don't know if they're gonna be, I mean, they'll probably make a comeback. That no one stays hurt in One Piece for more than like 5 chapters, but we'll see how they play into the final rule. Right now, they're out of commission. Move to the banquet hall, where we're kind of getting, you know, that whole hodgepodge of just kind of the masses. So we've got all the samurai still fighting. We still have a ton of this, just like either the, I think it's the pleasures, you know, the laughing people, and then just like the regular people, the regular crew who hasn't, you know, done anything with like smile fruits yet. So and they're just kind of all there with the samurai, and you have Drake is showing his face. We love that man. We love ourselves a Marine who knows how to think and choose common sense and pick the right side in a fight. Just saying. And then we have Big Hyogoro. I'm probably butchering that, and I don't care. I'm sorry. Hyogoro is no longer a tiny man. He is a very large man. Honestly, I prefer little old man Hyogoro. He was so cute. He was like, tiny, but like, you know, he packs a powerful punch. And now he's just kind of like big, and you're like, okay. So, I think it's interesting that for a lot of the samurai, the larger samurai, they're not like ripped and buff like you can kind of get with a lot of the other characters that we come in contact throughout the island, but they're very much like, I think it reminds me of sumo wrestlers, and I have a feeling that's probably intentional. Not all of them, obviously, but the one guy with the pink hair, it was in the Akazuka 9, like, he's, you know, one of the best guys, and he's not like a toned, muscular man. He's big. He's got girth, which is, you know, it's pretty effective for throwing around and being like, fight me, bitch. I won't finish that. Anyway, so Hyogoro is big, and he is a threat. He is taking people out, like, living up to his old Yakuzuka name, which I'm here for. I love Hyogoro. I love the character that he's been, and he definitely, like, in here, he's talking about how Luffy really, he feels like he really became a mentor to Luffy. And I think that's really cool that he feels like he got that chance to pass on some of his wisdom that clearly he's been just, you know, delinquishing, is that the word? Like, slowly dying in prison. But he got a chance to both relive those glory days and also feel like he was able to pass on wisdom to the next generation, which is something, I mean, that's huge for One Piece. It's just a general theme of, like, you know, passing on stuff to the next generation. But I mean, just for anyone who's kind of getting up there in years, you feel like one of the stuff that you have left that you can contribute to the world is that, hey, I lived life, I made mistakes, I can help people either through those mistakes, because sometimes you just need to make mistakes to get through on the other side of them, either help them through those mistakes or help them avoid them, or just train them, let them be better, and that's like one of the best things that, you know, older people can do. So I think it's really cool that we see her, that Hyogo, like, that was important to him, that he got a chance to do that and to pass on a bit of his legacy. And I'm really glad that he got that, and it's talking about in this chapter. So, yeah. And then, you know, making, like, the sacrificial, like, ooh, flaming hair of holy rain. Did you mean? No. I love that. I love these attack names. They're so random, but, like, so good. Yeah. And then also making the sacrificial, like, yo, if I go out of control, I'm going to kill everyone here. Kill me before that happens. And so being willing to do that, which happens kind of here in the middle, and then also at the end, like, that's the final panel of the chapter. So then we move on to Marco, and we get a little bit of that Marco King Queen fight, which, like, the fact that Marco is taking on both of them, like, I know people kept talking, like, okay, is Sanji gonna fight King, who's gonna fight Queen, like, and it's the Phoenix just coming in, stealing all the glory. Like, what is he doing? How is he doing it? Because King is, you know, Kaido's second in command, Queen is number 3, Marco was, like, the first mate of Whitebeard, and, like, that just shows, it kind of adds to this, like, expectation that we've had of, like, Yonko means Yonko. These people legit, like, I would have loved, what if we just threw Katakuri in the mix? Like, what would be happening right now? The fact that one commander is able to hold off not only another commander, but, like, the directly underneath, like, these 3 are, like, on type tier, but clearly not, because Marco is nailing both of them. Fire, man. Fire, literally, I love it. And you just see this experience, like, Marco is so much more experienced. I need to look up how old King is. I'm gonna look that up and I'm gonna put it on the screen. How old King is, how old Queen is, and just, like, what are their different experience levels? Because you can see that coming out in this fight, that Marco knows what he's doing. Now, Marco knows how to control his power, and his power is also just much more versatile, which gives him definitely an advantage in this fight, which I love. It just looks super cool. Queen's just a butt. Queen can die. I don't like that guy. He's obnoxious. I love this Bluebird. Like, again with the attack names. Hello. Love it. Stupid cocky bird, man. Queen be pissed. Okay. Which, like, that panel of, like, Marco just, like, one-shotting King into the, like, building. So satisfying. So satisfying. I love it. With, like, the knee, you know, if they nail them with the knee, that's a good hit. That is a good hit. I aspire to nail people with me knee, but, like, I'm too short, so it doesn't work. I also don't have fire wings, which is unfortunate, but okay. So then we get to the last chapter. We get a little kind of preview of like Chopper is still frantically working to get this cure out to all the people, while he himself is definitely suffering from the virus itself. So, you know, keep hoping that he helps. He has a little bit of help from the zoo, the nurse and doctor from zoo, so that's good. But so that kind of gives you a little bit of an update on where that is. And yeah, we see the last panel here is the, I leave the rest in your hands. Here ends the life of Hyogoro, the flower with no regrets. Isn't that amazing? That just, I love that. There's so much of One Piece that is live with no regrets. Like when Zoro fought Mihawk, he was like, I can't take a step back because I will not be able to say that I pursued my dream with no regrets. So much of everything that people do is just don't live with regrets. Don't do it. I mean, we're all gonna have regrets. It's the question of how you're gonna move on from the regrets that you do have, and how are you going to step forward, making sure that you don't get any more regrets. I love this. But Hyogoro, he's not dead yet. We'll see what happens next chapter, if this really is his end, or if he will be somehow miraculously saved. But if Chopper is suddenly just like, bam, cure, and the, I don't know, like shoots him with it, I don't know. Just like throws it over the masses. Catch! I could see that happening. So we'll see if he actually dies. But yeah, that's the chapter. I want to talk a little bit about Wano and why I agree with Mr. Moore, just his theory totally. But I definitely, like, you know, every time I talk, I just like see it. I'm like, yes. I'm not emotionally invested yet. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm emotionally invested, like, because like all my favorite characters are there. But there's so many people who are, you know, in the story right now that I just don't know. I'm not familiar with, and the characters that I am familiar with, I feel like they're just kind of running around. Like there's no development going on. There's no like, oh, that's what that means. Like, okay, last chapter was an exception. We got Robin and Sanji having that little interaction, which was so good. I missed that, and I think we need a lot more of that before we can even think about the raid being over. I'm definitely like, it all still feels way too easy. Like it feels like I know what's going on the rooftop. Like who knows where we'll be whenever we go back to that, but they feel like, oh yeah, like, you know, the 5 of them, maybe they can beat Kaido, and, you know, 5 of the worst generation. And, you know, the samurai stuff, like, you know, it's going back and forth, but we've got Chopper working on that cure, and, like, so far all the other Straw Hats are either, like, in the middle of their fights, like Frankie's fighting the Triceratops guy, or Robin and Brooke are about to start their fight with Black Maria, and, like, it feels, like, good. Like, the odds feel even to a certain extent, even though a couple chapters ago, World Government was definitely talking about how the numbers, like, just, like, the sheer amount of numbers on either side is, like, a big factor, which we then had little Tama was kind of, like, helping out with that. So it just feels like it's too easy. It's too easy. Like, something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. And, yeah, I'm just, like, I'm not emotionally invested. I feel like this is, you know, everyone keeps saying, I feel like Oda keeps saying that, like, Wano is Zoro's arc, and I haven't seen Zoro grow. I know that character development in Wano, not in Wano, yes in Wano, but like in One Piece in general is very slow and also subtle. You have to be looking for it, so there might be stuff that, you know, I've just been missing a bit. I know I did see, I think a comment about, you know, whenever Zoro, like, made the promise of, like, I'm going to, you know, win this fight for Iabusu Town, I think that's how you say it, that was, like, an indication of him, like, you know, again, taking on, like, more responsibility and, like, showing loyalty to something. So there was that, but, like, I'm waiting for the stakes. I'm waiting for the stakes to actually be there. Clearly, the island going through the sky and about to land on a bunch of people, I don't want that to happen. It's not like I'm completely heartless towards the Wano people. Like, I am, like, a little invested in them. But, like, it's so weird, because we did spend a chunk of time, and not just, like, Dressrosa was just, like, a single day, and, like, what a day. but like we spent weeks here. But I just don't feel that connection to the Wano people yet. I'm not sure why. I'll probably make a video on it again in the future. But anyways, that is chapter 1006. Thank you for coming along for the ride. Thank you for listening to me. And yeah, it's Converse Laces signing out. I'll come up with something better than that. Like, subscribe, comment me your thoughts if you agree or disagree with me on anything. And yeah, let's have a conversation. And yeah, thank you. This is probably a bad idea. Don't do this at home. I'm gonna go. There we go. Close enough.